Behind every perfect family photo, there's a truth they don't want you to see. The Blackwell family, a name that screams power, legacy, and perfection. At the top of this empire stands Richard Blackwell, a self-made billionaire known for his sharp business instincts and cold-hearted decisions. But beyond the suits and charity galas, Richard rules his family with an iron fist, demanding obedience and perfection. Then there's Ethan Blackwell, the golden boy. Or at least that's what the world thinks. Top of his class, heir to the family fortune and every headline's darling. But Ethan carries a secret no headline will ever print. He's transgender and he's been on HRT in secret. HRT is hormone replacement therapy. It is a medical treatment that involves taking hormones to align a person's physical characteristics with their gender identity, fighting to live as his true self. But secrets don't stay hidden forever. One night, Richard storms into Ethan's room, his face cold with fury. In his hand, a bottle of HRT pills. The security cameras Richard installed for safety caught everything. Ethan's heart pounds, but before he can speak, Richard's voice cuts through the silence like a knife. If you keep this up, you lose everything. The house, the money, me. Ethan, shaking but defiant, meets his father's eyes. Then maybe I don't need any of it. But Richard isn't done. His final blow is brutal. Marry Emily Thompson, or I'll make sure you're homeless before the week is over. Emily, heiress to a fortune, perfect on paper. But Ethan knows the truth. She's gay. And just like him, she's trapped in a life built on lies. And just like that, Ethan's world shifts from one battle into another. Will he sacrifice his truth for survival, or risk everything for freedom? If this story has you hooked, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more stories that challenge, inspire, and captivate you. Your support helps us bring more untold stories to life. Hit that bell so you never miss what's next. How far would you go to survive? When your own family becomes your prison, the clock ticks relentlessly. Ethan hasn't slept since his father's threat echoed through his room. Marry Emily, or you're out on the streets. Richard Blackwell always meant what he said. And Ethan knows his father never bluffs. The next morning, Richard sits across from Ethan in his grand study. The air thick with tension. Sunlight filters through towering windows, but the warmth doesn't reach the cold stare in Richard's eyes. A pristine marriage contract lies on the desk. Sign it, Richard commands, his voice calm, calculated, like he's closing a business deal. Marry Emily Thompson. Secure our empire. Hand this, all of this stays yours. Ethan's hands tremble, but his voice is steady. You're buying a lie. Dad, what's a perfect family if it's built on chains? Richard's response is ice. A lie is better than scandal. Better than weakness. He pauses, letting his words pierce deep. Do you know what's worse than losing money? Ethan, losing face. Ethan's heart races. Weakness, his father's favorite insult. And yet, the true weakness lies in this prison of expectations. Ethan's phone buzzes later that night. Emily. Her message is blunt. I know about the deal. Let's meet. At a dimly lit rooftop bar, Ethan faces Emily Thompson, impeccably dressed, but her guarded eyes reveal a soul equally trapped. So, Emily starts, her voice cool but firm. You're stuck. Me too. Ethan raises an eyebrow. Intrigued. They're forcing you. Emily's smile is bitter. My family's been after me to straighten up for years. Your father's offer, a perfect cover, a fake marriage, means peace. For both of us. Her eyes meet his, sharp with determination. I'm not here to play wife. I'm here to make a deal. Ethan's lips curl into a dry smile. A deal, of course. That's all life ever is. A business arrangement then, Ethan offers. We fake it. For the public. But behind closed doors, we're free. Emily clinks her glass against his. No lies between us. Just survival. Within days, the headlines explode. Billionaire heir Ethan Blackwell engaged to Emily Thompson. Social media goes wild. Paparazzi swarm. The Blackwell name shines brighter than ever. But behind the glamour, Ethan suffocates under the performance. Forced smiles, staged kisses, His father, always watching. But the worst blow hits when Richard adds his final demand: end the hormones. Immediately. You'll be married soon. Be a man for your wife. Ethan's stomach knots. His hands ball into fists. This isn't about Emily. This is about you controlling me. Richard's smile is cold. Control is what keeps our world turning. Ethan starts HRT again, secretly. But Richard is a man who leaves nothing unchecked. Without Ethan's knowledge, he hires a private investigator. Every step Ethan takes is watched. Every prescription traced. And the investigator isn't just anyone. It's Marcus, Ethan's former childhood friend, now working under Richard's payroll. The betrayal is silent but sharp. The Grand Blackwell Charity Gala arrives, an event designed to showcase Ethan and Emily, the perfect couple. The world is watching. The press is rolling, and Richard, smiling like the king on his throne. But behind the scenes, something brews. Marcus, the investigator, slips Richard a flash drive. Proof, he says simply. The proof. Security footage. Ethan receiving his HRT in a private clinic. Richard's eyes narrow. He pockets the drive. Let's give our guests a show they won't forget. On the ballroom floor, Ethan feels the walls closing in. Emily, at his side, whispers, "You okay?" His voice is tight. No. But it's too late to stop it. The room dims. A giant screen flickers to life. The guests hush, expecting a tribute. Instead, a video plays, grainy footage. A clinic. A prescription. Ethan Blackwell. HRT treatment. A gasp ripples through the crowd. Cameras flash. Murmurs turn to scandalized whispers. The headlines are already being typed. Ethan Blackwell, billionaire heir's shocking secret exposed. Ethan's body freezes. The world spins. But before he can react, Richard steps onto the stage, his voice booming. Ladies and gentlemen, I regret that my son has chosen deception. Effective immediately, he is disowned. A brutal silence. The room feels airless. Cameras capture everything. The coldness in Richard's voice. The devastation in Ethan's eyes. The final blow from his father, delivered without hesitation. From this moment on, he is no longer my son. The world waits for Ethan to break, to run, to crumble. But instead, Ethan takes the microphone. His voice? Raw but unwavering. You think this breaks me? You can take my money, my home, my name, but not me. The room holds its breath. Ethan turns to Emily, who, without a word, steps to his side. And then, to the cameras, to the world. We were forced into this marriage. But here's the truth, I'm transgender. Emily is gay. And this, he gestures to the chaos around them. This is what happens when you're punished for living authentically. The world gasps. Social media ignites. Scandal, but also solidarity. One night, one choice, and everything has changed. But as the world watches the empire crumble, Ethan stands taller. Alone, but not defeated, because now that it's personal. And Ethan Blackwell, he's just getting started. In a world built on lies, trust is the most dangerous game. Ethan and Emily step into their new reality, a marriage of convenience and a prison of performance. Paparazzi chase their every move. Headlines praise their perfect love story. But behind closed doors, they live separate truths. Ethan, defiant and exhausted, continues his HRT treatments in secrecy, the pills hidden beneath false drawer bottoms and encrypted prescriptions. Emily, his unexpected ally, becomes his confidant. We survived together, she reminds him. But let's never forget who we are. But Richard Blackwell is a man who controls every angle of his empire. Unwilling to believe his son has truly submitted, he hires Marcus, Ethan's childhood friend turned investigator, to watch Ethan's every move. Marcus, torn but loyal to the paycheck, begins his surveillance, capturing shadows Ethan never sees. The tension between Ethan and his father reaches a breaking point at a charity gala. Richard, in front of reporters, places a crushing hand on Ethan's shoulder. Tell them how happy you are. Son, Ethan's jaw tightens, but he forces a smile. Emily, watching from the side, shows every ounce of that performance is a silent scream. But the shadows finally catch up to Ethan when Marcus delivers damning footage to Richard. Ethan collecting his HRT at a private clinic. The price of betrayal weighs heavy on Marcus, but Richard only sees leverage. Richard leaks a teaser of the footage to an anonymous source, creating whispers in the press, a ticking time bomb before public detonation. Ethan, sensing the storm, confronts his father. The exchange is cold. Venomous. Richard, you have one chance to end this. Stop the hormones. Stop the act. Ethan, you keep calling it an act. But the only actor here is you. The bomb detonates at a high-profile industry event. The full video plays without warning. Ethan, exposed. The room gasps. Reporters pounce. But before Richard can savor his victory, Ethan seizes the moment, stepping into the spotlight, his voice sharp and unshaken. You've seen the tape. Now hear the truth. I'm Ethan Blackwell, and I refuse to live a lie. Before the press can descend, Emily grabs the mic, her voice burning. We were forced into this marriage. But here's the truth, I'm gay. Ethan is transgender, and this isn't shameful, it's survival. The room erupts. Chaos, shock, scandal. But beneath it all, power. Ethan and Emily, no longer masks but revolutionaries. As the headlines explode, Richard's empire begins to crack. But in his office, he watches the footage replay, his expression cold, unreadable. You've declared war. Ethan, he mutters, eyes burning. So be it. The battle lines are drawn. The war of truth versus legacy has only just begun. Power isn't about control. It's about who holds the final move. The media erupts with Ethan and Emily's truth. The world splits. Some cheer for their courage. Others condemn their defiance. But behind the headlines, Richard Blackwell sharpens his next attack. The punishment is swift. Ethan's accounts are frozen. His home stripped away. His father's message is clear. Survival belongs to those who obey. With nowhere to turn, Ethan finds refuge with Emily. But he isn't looking for safety. He's ready for war. He takes his story online, calling out the lies, the control, the cost of living someone else's version of truth. His voice ignites millions, but just as his movement surges, everything goes dark, his platforms, his access, erased. His father's reach is longer than he imagined. Then comes an unexpected message from Marcus, the man who betrayed him, now returning with a weapon more powerful than any live stream. Proof. Proof of Richard's corruption, of how he's crushed lives to build his empire. It's everything Ethan needs to tear his father down, but the price is devastation of the company, the legacy, and the only world Ethan has known. Face to face with Richard, Ethan delivers the warning, the world deserves to see the truth. But his father only dares him to act, because to Richard, destruction and defeat are the same. Yet, Ethan sees a path his father never could. Instead of releasing the scandal to the world, Ethan delivers it to the only people Richard can't control, the board. In the battle for power, chaos is noise, but leverage is victory. And the board, desperate to salvage their empire, moves swiftly. Richard is removed. The empire stands, but no longer in his grasp. When Richard finally confronts him, Ethan's words land sharper than any headline. You lost not because of your lies, but because you never understood the power of truth. The war ends without ruin, but with a shift. The empire survives, but under a new hand. And Ethan, no longer a prisoner of his father's legacy, steps forward, not to destroy the name, but to redefine it. Sometimes, losing everything is the only way to see what truly matters. The boardroom is silent. Richard Blackwell, the man who built an empire, now stripped of his title. His world, once unshakable, has collapsed from within. But the sting isn't in losing power, it's in losing to his own son. The media circles like vultures, painting Richard as a fallen tyrant. Old allies distance themselves. His phone, once a constant buzz of deals and admiration, falls silent. But the coldest blow? Ethan has taken the seat he once reserved for his legacy. In the emptiness of his penthouse, Richard is haunted not by headlines but by memories, the echoes of his father's voice, the man who once drilled into him, "Weakness is failure. Family is power." He had lived by those words, forged his empire from them. But now, what remains of family? Then, on his desk, an envelope from Ethan. Inside, no threats, no declarations. Just a single page. "You taught me how to win, but you never taught me how to love. I hope, someday, you learn." The sharpest cuts are always unseen. Days turn to weeks. Richard watches from the sidelines as Ethan transforms Blackwell Enterprises, innovating, expanding, but with a focus Richard never valued: people. Ethan's bold choices draw public support, and for the first time, the Blackwell name becomes a symbol not of power, but of progress. But storms have a way of returning. A hostile takeover threat emerges, one that could dismantle the company entirely. Ethan, brilliant but cornered, faces a battle that demands not only strategy, but experience. That night, Richard's phone rings. He knows the voice before he hears it. "Ethan, I don't trust you, but I know. You're the only one who knows how to stop this." A pause, and then, "Richard, you should have called sooner." The father and son, divided by pain, unite under a singular goal: to save what bears their name. Their battle is swift and ruthless, and for the first time, Richard sees in Ethan not rebellion, but reflection. His son is not soft, he is relentless. And when the takeover collapses, it is not Richard's power that ends it. It is Ethan's resolve. In the aftermath, Richard faces Ethan. No titles, no threats, just the raw truth of a father and a son. "Richard, you were right. Power is nothing without purpose. Ethan, and purpose is nothing without family." The silence holds. And then, with a weight he has never shown, Richard speaks. "Richard, I was afraid that you'd destroy everything I built. But you didn't. You made it something better." For the first time, Richard does what power never taught him. He lets go. A press conference. The world watches as Richard Blackwell, once the symbol of control, steps aside, publicly endorsing his son as the future of the Blackwell legacy. His words are few, but they are final. The future belongs to those brave enough to redefine it. "I built this empire, but my son, he rebuilt its soul." In the end, it was never about victory or defeat. It was about transformation. Not of a company, but of a father. The hardest battles are fought within the heart, but the greatest victories are won together. The storm is over. The headlines fade. The scandals dissolve into yesterday's news. But for Ethan Blackwell, this isn't an ending, it's a beginning. Under his leadership, Blackwell Enterprises thrives, not through fear, but through trust. Ethan builds a culture of inclusion, innovation, and authenticity, everything his father once rejected, and the world takes notice. The name Blackwell now stands not for control, but for change. Richard Blackwell, once feared and revered, finds himself in a new role, not as a ruler, but as a father. No longer casting shadows, he offers support, not commands. He watches Ethan succeed, and for the first time, he feels pride not in what his son has built, but who his son has become. Emily, having stood beside Ethan through every storm, finds her own light. She leaves the marriage, but not the friendship. Pursuing her own passions, she becomes an advocate for those forced into silence, using her voice to inspire others to live without masks. And Ethan stands beside her, not as a husband, but as family. One evening, Ethan and Richard stand together on the rooftop of Blackwell Tower, the city sprawling beneath them, a place once built on Richard's power, now standing on Ethan's purpose. "Richard, you built this." Ethan, "No. Dad, we did. You taught me to fight. I just changed what we fought for." Richard's voice softens. "Raw and rare, Richard. You didn't just save the family. You saved me. There are no cameras, no contracts, just two men, father and son, no longer battling over a legacy, but sharing it. Because legacies aren't built on names or empires. They're built on people. on truth, on love. A question for you. If you had the power to rewrite your family's legacy, would you choose control or would you choose connection? If this story moved you, if it made you think, feel, or question, don't let it end here. Like, share, subscribe. Because stories like this aren't just told, they're lived. And the best stories, they begin with you.